unexpectedly, Odell Beckham Jr. has put himself in a position to potentially make the Giants roster, which at the time of his signing seemed like an unlikely outcome. Odell was a player that when he was added to the roster, and many Giants fans were really juiced up about. There was a lot of fantasizing about some sort of resurrection with this reunion. Player who meant a lot to this roster at the very end of Eli's career, had some incredibly memorable moments, and it ended in a very disappointing way. This return allowed for a chance for redemption, but it was going to be a really, really tough path for him to make the team, considering he hasn't played since 2024. And when he did play in 2024, he played in 9 games and only had 9 catches in that span for 55 yards. It did not make a lot of sense. So when I saw multiple media members for the Giants reporting on Odell gaining a ton of momentum over the past couple of days, my eyes perked up. I was intrigued. I don't know for certain if this means that he is going to make this Giants team, but these recent developments seem to indicate it's trending in that direction. Those developments that I'm referring to are the fact that he is working with the first team. We're not talking about a circumstance where Odell had a couple of nice plays and maybe had one compelling catch. He made one ridiculous circus catch like we're used to seeing, and that was enough for people to get excited and for a narrative to be built. And maybe media members were just pushing stuff for clicks because they knew that if you said Odell did well, he would end up, that would end up garnering a lot of attention. Heck, that's why we're talking about him right now, is that Giants fans love talking about Odell. But this is real. There is nothing that is being fabricated for attention from this. He is working with the first team. I was reading Jordan Renan's practice reports, and it's multiple days now that he's been working with the first teamers. He has had multiple days where he's caught passes in team drills, and he's made plays. He's shown reliability and consistency for 33 years old. That is pretty impressive, especially considering, again, that slow start that he had at the beginning of camp. It looked like this was over before it even had begun. You're hearing more about Odell than you are about any of these other wide receivers. Now, the one key thing here, Odell's getting these chances because Malik Nabers isn't available still, and we don't know the full total recovery timeline of when he's going to be back and in the mix and actually cleared for full practice reps and all that stuff. So I'm certain that this is a chance for him to work in because there's not really anything ahead of him. Injuries are paving the way for him to show what he's capable of. But he's taking full advantage of those first-team reps to the point where he's balling out. He is starting to look like the old version of Odell. In an article from Jordan Renan, this quote that he had caught my attention. He compared himself to LeBron. This was the quote. "And I'm like LeBron James used to take off before the free throw line, and now if he's taking off with his foot right in front of it, he's still got a different game, but he's still playing at a high level. I believe that I can play at a high level." So he's basically saying that he, like LeBron, he's not directly saying he is LeBron. Their careers nowhere near the same. But the comparison is, and I kind of see this, LeBron in the NBA for most of his career was a ridiculous athlete, would make insane plays. Odell would do that all the time too. He would make in ridiculous catches all the time. But LeBron now is not that same guy. He is more of a heady, smart leader for his team that is just doing all the right things to elevate everybody around him. I don't think that Odell is going to be a first-team wide receiver. I don't think that at the start of the season we're going to see him run out there with the first-team offense. He's probably not going to start. It's probably going to look a little bit more like the 9 games that he contributed in with the Miami Dolphins, where he only had 55 yards and caught 9 passes. He's going to be in a backup role once Malik Nabers and some of these other injuries are resolved. But it seems like the momentum that he has established is enough for him to work within this team and to stick on this final 53-man roster. He does have a bit of an uphill battle. Still, I'm curious to see what happens with Juju Smith-Schuster. Braxton Berrios had made a lot of noise at the beginning of camp because of his potential special teams value. It feels like this could be the indicator that there is no more hope left for Jalin Hyatt. So that number 13 is going to be available for Odell pretty soon, because one of the guys that he easily was competing with was Jalin Hyatt, who different impacts for the teams. But if Hyatt's not reliable in any degree, then he's not going to stick around. Even if Hyatt showed some progress and some growth and some improvement, it's more likely than not that Odell would serve a more important role because he's a veteran, he's been around. You know what he can do if he had to go out there for a rep and for a play. Unless Jalin Hyatt, and this was one of the things that's been discussed with Odell, unless Jalin Hyatt can prove that he's got some sort of special teams value, which he really doesn't, then that can maybe complicate things. Very intriguing. It's very interesting. I think the connection to Harbaugh with Odell having been on that one of those Ravens teams, one of the last Raven teams coached by Harbaugh, that it's setting up a chance for him to make the final roster. We'll see what happens. This is turning into, unexpectedly, I'm being proven wrong. I didn't think he was making the team. This is turning into a really fun storyline to watch and to follow and to talk about. We'll see what ends up coming to fruition. Storyline that I love talking about that I'm sure that you guys don't care about, but you should care about, is the kicking competition. You might be thinking, what kind of a selling point is that? The kicking competition is critical because last year, kicker was a total liability for this team. They couldn't make field goals. It was such a problem. It cost them games. And they had a freaking guy in the International Pathway Program that was wasting a roster spot. So now we actually have a compelling battle that's going on. We have a potential opportunity for a rookie, a star rookie, to be the next great kicker for this Giants team. I will always trust Harbaugh's opinions with kickers. And for him to commit to Dominic Zvada, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, to commit to him and to give him this opportunity and for him to play the way that he has performed in camp seems to be positive signs that their kicking issues could be resolved. Renan had reported on Wednesday that Dominic Zvada went a perfect 10 for 10 on field goals. He is now 28 of 31 during training camp. I understand early on Ben Sauls had connected on a couple of kicks at the very first few practices that made it seem like, hey, maybe the gap is being bridged a little bit closer. If I got a guy who's going 28 of 31 and 10 for 10 on Wednesday, I believe that was when he went a perfect 10 for 10, go with the guy. Don't overthink this. If he has shown that much consistency, it will translate. I was a long snapper in college. I always reference this. I've been around a million kickers. If you can't connect in practice and you've got a guy who's doing it with the utmost consistency, it is an absolute easy decision. Go with the guy that is doing it at a high level. I have heard very little about Ben Sauls. I keep seeing Dominic Zvada's name pop up in terms of how things are going with this competition. We'll see what happens. Folks, do me a favor. Comment below what you're most excited about for the first preseason game next week for the Giants. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. I'll talk to you later.